questions regarding this, and I'm so glad that we are doing a live so that everyone out there really understands the truth, the fact. Your first question really is, what are the early signs?
Your question was, what are the early signs of incompatible relationships? And I feel with the research that I've done, it's mostly surrounded by anxiety of moving into your own house. So that's why we sort of believe that your home should be your sanctuary. If you come back after a long and busy day at work, you don't want to feel anxious before entering your home. You don't want to be in a place where there are dishes, there are a messy roommate or music or anything which basically you don't like. So as being a psychology major, you have a lot of people who sort of come and discuss experiences with you, and I found that a lot of them came back to them not having that safe space to go back to by the end of the day. So I think the biggest red flag in an incompatible relationship is that anxiety of your house not being your safe space.
So that's why we at Happiness is Love have that happy space for children, so that they don't feel the anxiety. Today, tsunami after Corona, there's a tsunami of loneliness and anxiety, and we parents have to make sure we connect with our children emotionally. So going back to your question, Amanat, it's always nice to live with someone who's compatible with you, let's say a roommate. If we all like for instance, I like to go to bed early. It would be ideal if I were
like these days there's anyway so much stress. Like I was talking to a few students that I was teaching psychology to the other day, and they have so much work that even I feel like I'm a generation gap away. It doesn't seem like they have any space to grow or any space to make meaningful connections beyond their professional development. So I think that really impacts that, again, the intrinsic drive of humans to connect, to belong, to socialize. We're building other things on our time, we're bartering that time, and I think that is severely contributing to these anxiety and depression rates. I mean, if you notice that 20 years ago people our age would not be this depressed, this anxious. So
kind of
yeah.
that is that, and that is alarming.
And the fact that it's more in the younger cohort as compared to the older cohort, where you imagine that when you're younger you have a childhood, you sort of want to enjoy, you don't have the burden of running a household, of earning money. So it's basically you have to have a childhood. So
those of us who are struggling with this, who are just about to step into college and are going to look for that roommate, of course Decode is going to help. But few things to look forward to. One, make sure you find someone who's trustworthy. Second, make sure you find someone who's responsible, someone who is calm enough to be there for you. Don't have to be best friends. Huh?
yeah, and that's what one of our posts was about, that you don't have to be best friends. In fact, for some people, not having that intimacy with their roommate works better. That's a big thing to think about. So that's why we came up with an algorithm. There are apps that determine compatibility within romantic relationships, and I think the compatibility for romantic versus friendships versus cohabitating relationships, all three of them, there's a different criteria. So for specifically cohabitating roommates, I thought of doing some research. I thought there should be some correlation of the kind of personality traits that gel well together. And I think that we found really promising results, and I can't believe that this is something that's not already being implemented in universities and colleges, where they are making students live like with each other. They are basically deciding roommates for like over 1,000, 2,000 students. So yeah, that's something that I really look forward to alleviate, which is like mental health, so that people can have that social support ecosystem with wherever they go. Even if they're traveling, they're going away from their parents, they're going away to another country, they need to be able to have the coping resources wherever they go, considering all the stress that they are like, we're having this cutthroat competitive world. Yeah.
Qualities that I want my roommate to possess, I have to also work on having those virtues.
Yeah.
To make sure that whatever you do, why dependency is considered
Yeah, so that basically my whole motivation for this was that I heard a lot of motivational talks and read a lot of blogs which said that, okay, be independent, and why you should do this yourself, and don't like, just gather up courage and just do it on your own, as if, there's an expectation that you have to be this extremely strong person. And I want to think that we don't all have to believe that all the burden is on our shoulders. It's good to share it. Obviously, there is a thin line between codependency, which is not being able to survive without the other person. But I still believe that having a person you can go to when you're feeling low, having someone to pump you up, it really reduces your chances of these emotional outbursts, of burnouts. uh, Now I wanna see if like anybody else has questions, because a lot of times when I ask people or tell them about this, and even the polls I take on Instagram, it's always like, oh no, like why are you preaching independency? I mean dependency. So Akshay has asked, why is dependence independence such a trend these days? So I honestly think it's because the expectations are becoming higher and higher. Even for like for kids who are much younger, like today these kids are writing research papers in 11th and 12th grade. 5 or 6 years ago, I wasn't doing that level of thinking. So I think that the expectations are just increasing, and people are trying to believe that, they have to be better in order to be happy, and we have to be more successful. But
People talk about healthy dependency, healthy
yes.
things. Want to share our burdens. Let's have build better relationships.
If someone comes to you, I find that so many people have such strict boundaries where they're like, oh, I have to focus on my thing and other people's emotions don't matter. I have to focus on me, me, me. And I feel we have to look beyond ourselves. And because India is a collectivistic culture, and not just because we're a collectivistic culture, it works for us. The fact that we're a community is what makes us, better, a team, a strong. So I think there's a lot of, again, stress on the word that we want to be people who are figuring everything on our own. We don't care about anybody else. We're going to hustle. And this whole hustle culture, I think it's led to solitude, but also loneliness. So some people will call their loneliness solitude. But I honestly feel that there is only a limit till you can enjoy solitude, where loneliness is becoming more and more of a problem even in younger people. I have actually seen the trend myself. Like, I can't imagine that we're seeing such big trends in such short spans where, like 10 years ago, you would probably find people being there for each other more often, whereas now people, are more connected to their goals and their ambitions. We do need to preach, if you want to go far, go together more, Akshata. I think that's a really good way to put it. Success comes only when you start putting others before yourself. Solitude is something which is weirdly being celebrated these days. I completely agree. I think like, although it's not diss on anybody who enjoys solitude. I myself do enjoy alone time, but I do think there is a trend that people are being pressured to follow to make them seem successful, basically a stud.
According to you, is too much dependence, or how does one really strike that balance?
So I think that one has to have boundaries, but not strict boundaries. So I think we have to see situations relatively. I really love that word, relative. So I think you look at your situation, your problem, and then you look at the person who's approaching you and look at their problem and look at relatively who needs you more. And I think that's how I look at situations myself. That there are some times where I am doing something important, but if a person has a problem, basically the coping ecosystem. I think there's a lot of glorifying, which is an amazing word, of independence. And there is also a pressure to downtrod the people who actually are being dependent, that, oh, why do you need to share your problems, or why do you need to cry, or why do you need to? And I honestly believe that even the people saying that don't actually believe that, but have been led to believe that because of the way the society is working these days. uh, the only thing that comes to my mind is how the expectations have risen from younger kids. It's only imaginable that if they aren't getting any time to unwind, why wouldn't they be more likely or more prone to depression or anxiety? Question, could you shed a little bit light on your startup and how it deals with the current situation? Definitely. So, CoDee is basically a platform we hope to launch by the end of the year, where we have a compatibility algorithm where people fill in questions, and then we give you a compatibility percent. You're at least aware of how well or not well you guys gel. So even if you don't have other options, you at least have the awareness to do things in a certain systematic manner. Because more and more people are moving these days. In fact, there are stats that within India, there are a lot of people moving from one city to the other. Is fast success leading to the independency trend? I think, yeah, because people want to be successful faster and they want to be more successful than their friends. Because, again, I think social media also contributes to that because you see people buying new things and wearing these fancy clothes, and tomorrow you want to do the same thing. And so it sort of becomes a competition, a very ubiquitous competition that sort of goes beyond your professional success. Thank you for all the love, everyone. Thank you, Nikita, and everyone for joining.
Great work. It's need of the hour, and we are all with you right